we're Eric and Amy Goninen, and I've been a Disneyland annual pass holder for like over 15 years, and Eric has been a Disneyland annual pass holder for the past few years. And we recently took our third trip to Disney World as a married couple. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to give you Disneyland veterans some tips for Walt Disney World. So let's get started.
All right, first one would be, big one, we got lost a couple times trying to figure this out. It is look down when you are parking for the symbol or the number that you're parked at.
Yes, because so usually when you are parking in Mickey and Friends or the Toy Story lot at Disneyland, you look up to the post. But that's not always the case for Walt Disney World. Sometimes they have like specific row numbers painted on the ground.
Yeah, and we didn't discover this until our third trip to Disney World.
Yeah.
So we've been paying attention.
Yeah, so that's why we're sharing with you our tips, because it took us a while to learn. Okay, so the second tip that we have for you is that repeat attractions are different. So attractions that are on both coasts, look for those differences, specifically Buzz.
Well, in Pirates of the Caribbean is different too. Their small world is different from our small world. There's a bunch of differences in them, whether it's slightly shorter, slightly longer, or in the case of Buzz, completely different guns in general.
Yeah, the guns are different also. So if you go on the Buzz Lightyear Astro Blasters in Disneyland, they have different shapes so they're for targets. So there's like a circle, a triangle, a diamond, and those shapes represent different points that you can get. So you always want to go for the triangle because that's the most point. But
Pro tip.
Yeah. But in Disney World, they're just circles. And so you just want to go for the circles that are the most difficult to get or in difficult places, because those get you more points.
Yeah, I didn't even know that. Learning all sorts
That's how
of
I tried to
stuff
beat
today.
him if I didn't.
Okay, so a third one is, so the annual passes are work different there. So we were able to upgrade our annual pass to the Premier Pass, which allows you to go to both coast parks. So like we go to Disneyland and Disney World. And we have, I don't think there's blackout dates for it. Mm-hmm. But so if you're planning on upgrading your pass to go over to Disney World to see if that's like worth the cost, I would say it is, because you get a lot of discounts for like parking is free every day, and if you're staying off property, that is huge. Mm-hmm. You do get some discounts with some restaurants. It's not every restaurant, but you ask, because otherwise you're not gonna like know if they have a discount or not. I got turned down a lot, especially counter services. A lot of times they'll say no. Certain days I heard that you can. It's very kind of completely different. Disneyland is the opposite. Like everything has a discount except for some of the like one-off stands.
Vendors.
Like the vendor stands don't have discounts, or like the mint julep bar doesn't have a discount, that kind of stuff. But like all the counter service and restaurants all have, especially outside the park, they have discounts. And so ask about discounts. It's really important. Merchandise discount, you still have that, so that's good. And the photo pass. So with the photo pass, just make sure that you are double checking to make sure you're getting your picture. So we had an issue with this because we have a double pass. The picture icon thing is different because they have different systems for Disney World and Disneyland. And so sometimes we wouldn't get our pictures. So we actually had to, oh sorry.
So what he's meaning is that there are, on your passports, there's actually 2 places that the cast member can scan to upload, and it was sometimes confusing. So we would just ask for them to scan them both, right? Yeah,
so basically just if you're getting your picture taken in, you have the Premier Passport, or make sure you're getting them to scan both of those little icons, mm-hmm. because otherwise you might not get your pictures. This is the case for us. We missed out on some ride pictures and some ride vehicle stuff. We had to go physically put a couple pictures on. Like we had to go into the photo people and say, hey, we're missing pictures. And so they went through and had to click through each hour and try to find us, and then we finally got our pictures. But
it all worked out.
It worked out fine. It was just kind of one of those things where we did not realize that that was the case. So make sure that you're double checking on the app as soon as the photo gets taken and they scan you, wait a couple minutes, check it. If it doesn't pop up within like 15 minutes, I would say go over and double check in the photo place to make sure you get your pictures, because those are important on vacation.
Also, look for the AP annual pass holder entrances, because the parks have special lines, which is, you feel pretty cool walking into that. Yeah.
Kind of, yes, you do. But sometimes the line is way shorter. In one case, we went, it was way longer, so we're like, let's just go to the regular line. Yeah. But yeah, there is a separate entrance, which I thought was really cool. I don't think that would work at Disneyland just because there's a lot of annual pass holders, so that line would be super long all the time. So probably why they don't do it here.
Yeah. Okay, so tip number 4 is just to realize that crowds act differently in Disney World than they do in Disneyland. So that could mean a lot of things, but I just want to give one example on like crowds for lines act differently. So in Disneyland, based on our experience, the Jungle Cruise is usually a ride, especially in the morning, you could just kind of walk on. And the line typically doesn't get really long unless it's a very busy day. But in Disney World, it was consistently very long. Would you agree with that?
Yes.
Yeah. So so that was just something, I believe the first trip or two that we took, it wasn't something that we expected necessarily. So we were like, when we were trying to reserve our fast passes, we were like, Jungle Cruise, now we'll just walk on that. But this time we made a fast pass because we wanted to see on it and go on it and not wait in a long line. So I would just say maybe don't necessarily make assumptions based on Disneyland about wait times in Disney World. If you really care about that, if it's important to you, make sure that you go ahead and do the research and look at what fast passes are recommended and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, and the crowds act differently because you get, it's a different type of group that are gonna, there's way more larger groups that go, huge family groups go. We have that at Disneyland, but we also have student groups a lot of times, or things like that, travel groups. But you'll see big, large families because they all have the same t-shirt on, which is fun. And you see large tourist groups from other countries that go, and it's just like, it's such a different eclectic group of people, which is fine, but it's just, the crowds will act completely different. So if you're used to going to Disneyland and you're like good at dodging people and stuff, you might not be as good at Disney World because people act differently. When you're walking around Disneyland, you expect people to cut around you, and you can, it's a different world over there. Number 5 is you might need extra time to get into the parks. What that means is plan extra time for parking, because sometimes it's really busy in the morning, but the biggest extra plan time that you need is Magic Kingdom. So if you've never been to Disney World and you don't know, Magic Kingdom has an interesting way of getting there. So you arrive to the parking and there's a chance that you have to take a tram into the I think it's called the transportation hub. So you pull in and you get out, you go through security, and then you have a choice. You can either take the monorail to the resort, not to the resort, yeah, to the resort, Magic Kingdom. So you can take the Magic Kingdom monorail, or you can take the boat. Both of them, depending on the time of the day, one might be faster than the other. We always like to take the boat just because it's...
I love the ferry.
Yeah, the ferry boat's great. Because you can see, you know, it's got a great view, you're on the water. It's fun to watch. So the thing about it is it takes extra time. So if you have like a breakfast reservation at like 7 a.m. at Magic Kingdom and you're trying to, I know that's early, but you're trying to rush there, you want to give yourself like 20, 30 minutes to get into the park from the parking lot, just because that's a chance, because the boat might not be running that early. You might have to take the resort's monorail, which is different from the Magic Kingdom monorail, that goes to a bunch of different places. And so there's just a lot of things that go into going to the Magic Kingdom, so just be wary of time. Maybe with the first time you go, time yourself, see how much time you need to give the next time. And so that's a good tip, I think.
Good job. You're telling yourself good job.
Thanks.
Okay, so tip number 6 is really prepare for a lot more walking. There are pros and cons to this, right? Because there's...
Well, yeah, walking is good for you.
Well, I meant Yeah, walking's good for you. Get healthy, everybody. I meant that the pros of needing to walk more means that there are wider walkways, right? Not like Disneyland.
Yeah, Disneyland has tiny walkways that a lot of people clump into sometimes, but Disney World does have a lot more space. I mean, the first time I went to Magic Kingdom, I kind of described it as Disneyland if they had more land, which is a weird way to describe it, but it's got really long walkways, big, huge, everything is way bigger, you know, like Main Street's longer, it feels like, the castle's bigger, like everything is bigger there. And so what might take you, you know, a couple minutes to cross over at Disneyland is going to take you almost twice as long to get, and things are kind of in a different place.
Yeah, so Disneyland has more attractions than Magic Kingdom has, but Magic Kingdom has the attractions are just more spread out for them.
Yeah. I mean, it's fun to be there and be like, oh man, this place is massive and it's really
it's
fun.
awesome. It's for sure awesome.
But there is a lot more walking. The first time, especially at Epcot, you walk a lot.
Yeah. Oh my gosh.
So it is a huge park. And the first time that Amy was able to go to Epcot, we walked 18 miles that first day, which was an insane amount of walking in one. That's like a hike. Yeah. Like that's a hike. And so how we got the number was everybody was like on their phone or whatever it was. Like my brother-in-law had one of those Fitbit watch things. And we calculated the average between all of us and it came to be 18 miles, which is insane. Like we walked, part of it is we walked around the
World Showcase
like 4 or 5 times because we were going all over the place, but it was
so bring multiple pairs of shoes because you want your feet to rub in different things. Bring good shoes for walking. All right.
Oh, so the fashion is
tip number 7.
So the fashion is different over there too.
Nothing better or worse.
Not in a negative way, but it's just
no.
At Disneyland, it is a lot of people who just love Disney and they Disney bound and they dress up and do things that are cool, and they have, you know, groups of friends that go together that do like different bounding things. And so you don't really see that as much. I mean, you see it, but you don't see it as the intense amount that you see it at Disneyland. And so one of the things that Amy experienced was that she got complimented a lot more on some of the more like fancy dresses that she wore.
Okay, so yeah. So basically my theory is that you see a lot of like people getting that Instagram picture. In my opinion, you see a lot more at Disneyland, and I think that is probably just because it's so concentrated, right? Like it's just smaller, so it's easier to see different things. So I'm sure there are just as many Instagram people, if not more, at Disney World, you know, so people wearing specific outfits because they want that great picture, right? Gotta get those likes. And in Disney World, there's just a lot more people because it's a bigger park, and so it just doesn't seem like as many. So not this past time, but the trip before, I think it was in like 2017 or something like this that we went to, I bought and I wore a lot of the dresses from the dress shop or even like Torrid. So these were Disney outfits, but they were dresses. Like these aren't like, oh, go out to like theater dresses, but they're nice day dresses that look a little bit fancier. And I wear them all the time at Disneyland because they're really comfortable and nice to walk around in and good length and stuff like that. In Disneyland, like, no one cares, you know, like
everybody wears them.
Not everybody, but like, well, I mean, a lot of people. Like it's nothing special. But when I went in like 2017, like I was getting a lot of attention, you know, for what I was wearing, which to me it was normal just to wear a dress at a Disney park, but apparently it wasn't. So do with that information whatever you want.
Yeah, I mean, Disney World it brings a lot of international tourists, and like when you're coming that far, you don't want to pack your suitcase with like a million costumes and stuff. So I think that's probably part of it, but
yeah,
I mean,
once again, not better or worse.
No, it's just different. Like you're probably going to get a lot more attention if you do bound there because you won't see it as much. So do bound.
In our experience.
Do it. We encourage you guys to do stuff like that.
Yeah, it's really, really fun. Yeah. We love it. We love it. Okay, So the next tip is to definitely make sure you are planning ahead for your Walt Disney World vacation, but also when you get there, still be flexible, right?
Yeah, that's a good idea, because you never know. For instance, when we were here this last time, we had a fast pass for, I believe it was Test Track, and Test Track broke, and so we weren't able to use our fast pass, so we were able to switch it to something else pretty fast as soon as we heard, because like, oh, let's just switch it to Frozen, I think is what we switched it to. But yeah, so your plans can, you know, things can happen, or things, you know, can go wrong or whatever, and so you always just want to make sure that you're like super flexible to change it. You're still there, you're still having fun. You can always, if you're there multiple days, you can always go back and try that particular attraction again if you needed it.
Yeah, but it is still definitely, I would say it's more important to plan ahead for Disney World than Disneyland. It's just because so many people do it. So their fast pass reservation system is, if you're on property, you could book 60 days in advance, where Disneyland, it's day of. And so that means that a lot of the like hot fast pass will be gone the day of. Well, they'll do drops and stuff like that, but they'll be harder to get. So plan ahead. But then also, like, even if you got up at like 4 in the morning to get those fast passes, and you wake up and you're like, why in the world did I get this 10 o'clock in the morning Space Mountain? I will throw up, that's too early. You know, like, it's okay. You can make modifications and changes to your itinerary and to your fast passes. Like, give yourself freedom, okay? It's your vacation, do what you want. You know?
Yeah, if you feel kind of like entitled by your plans once you get there, you can always just sit down and change everything, or change it by the day. It doesn't matter. Like, yeah,
we change things all the time, and we love it. Like, we have great vacations.
Yeah, I mean, there was multiple restaurants we were supposed to go to, and we just changed it, went somewhere else, you know. So it's just one of those things. Like, there was a whole day that we were like, we're gonna go to this, and we were like, no, let's go do something else.
Yeah, yeah. So just really, like, yeah, planning is fun. Like, planning is probably one of my favorite parts about a vacation, but like, just be in the moment and just see how you're feeling, how your family's feeling, and don't really have like, don't put expectations on yourself like, oh, if I don't do this, this, and this, and this, my vacation is ruined. Like, don't put that on yourself. Like, just go on vacation to spend time with your loved ones, and
yeah, enjoy the magic that's there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, number 9. So this is especially for people who live near Disneyland.
Yeah.
The weather can change super fast there. It can
at
go.
Disney World.
Well, yeah, Disney World. Sorry. So in Southern California, if you're visiting Disneyland, then you know it's pretty much going to kind of be the same every day. It's sunny. Sometimes it's hot. Sometimes it's not hot, but it's always sunny. There's very little rain, except in the wintertime, and even then, it's rare to get rain here. So you can kind of pack. Like, oh hey, it's gonna be warm, I'm gonna pack with shorts and stuff, and you'll be fine. Even if it's not hot out, you'll still be okay. At Disney World, it's completely different. The weather changes constantly. You're gonna have to bring ponchos, because it can rain, and when it rains. Like, it drops water. And so you're what?
That's the definition of rain, is water like falling from the sky.
It pours a lot. Drops a lot of water on the ground. So you're gonna get wet if you don't have a poncho on. I mean, I experienced this when we went. I'm from Seattle, and it rains all the time, and so it drops water.
So you are an expert. You know that.
I know about rain. Okay, water falls from the sky. So I'm from Seattle, and my pride was like, you know what? Rain, whatever. I'm fine with it. But then it's like within 30 seconds, you're soaked because of the amount of rain. So it's a crazy experience. But it can also change, like there can be thunderstorms really fast, and you know, it's just like storms can roll in and roll out super fast in Orlando, just because of the way that the Florida region is. And so just make sure you pack accordingly. You know, if it's certain times of year, 100% check the weather constantly. Go find out what the averages are. That's what we did. We were able to pack warmer clothes because we found out like, oh hey, it's going to be cold when we were there. It dropped down into the 40s almost every night, and so just one of those things that you really want to make sure you're paying attention to the weather. Even every day, check it, because when we were there in the summertime and it was really hot, there was pretty much thunderstorms like every other night or so, and so it was just one of those things. that you have to deal with when you're there. Still fun. Doesn't clear out the parks like Disneyland does.
Yeah.
So don't expect that either.
Yeah,
people
Disneyland.
stay at Disney World when it dumps rain.
Sometimes. Or at least more than Disneyland. Like Disneyland, if you get like a good storm, it's like excitement for us. Like, ooh, let's go.
Yeah, like this one Christmas, it was the 2-week blackout period, and we had passes that we didn't have any blackout dates, and so we went, and it was super rainy and gross, and we were able to watch World of Color with maybe 20 other people. It was like one of the most amazing experiences because we're like, everybody just abandoned the park today. So it was really fun.
Yeah. Right for our last tip. Okay, so our last tip is to really enjoy the differences between Walt Disney World and Disneyland. So I know that there's like wars or conflict or whatever you call it, where people want to say like, Disneyland is the best, Disney World is the best. Like, they're similar, but they're different, you know, and they're both good, they're both great, they're both like totally worth visiting. So like we said earlier, like just if there's an attraction that's repeated, don't necessarily skip it because it can be different, especially Haunted Mansion. Make sure you go on that.
Oh yeah.
But
That's a good one.
Yeah, but just don't be necessarily looking for the negatives when you're going to Disney World for the first time as Disneyland, like, oh, Disneyland doesn't do it like that. Because there are definitely differences, but they're like, but it's good, you know, like, hey, we have more than one park, like Disneyland isn't the only one, so it's pretty cool.
Yeah, definitely enjoy the I mean, the details there are just as good, and I would say like, yeah, just enjoy the experience of being there. If you go to Magic Kingdom expecting it to be like Disneyland, it's not going to be. It's different. I mean, it's similar, but it's different. And so there's a lot more fun things that you can sort of, like one of the fun things that we did that we don't have is the Sorcerers of the Magic Kingdom, which is super fun to just take a day and do that. I mean, we didn't even really ride that many rides when we were doing that. We were
obsessed.
We were just having fun running around doing these like random things, like trying to find where the places are and all that stuff. So it was super fun. So we recommend that sort of thing. Just take time to really enjoy the differences.
Yeah. Is that it?
I think that's it.
All right. Thanks guys for watching. Keep your eye out because we will have the opposite. So Disneyland tips for Walt Disney World veterans or Walt Disney World goers. And yeah, thanks for watching.
And if you like what you see, please subscribe.
Oh yeah, that'd be nice. Thank you.
Oh, and leave a comment down below about if there's like major differences that you like or you don't like. I think it would be a good conversation. So.
But we're all one happy Disney family.
We are. Thanks for watching.
Okay, bye.